Hello, this is Mad Cat, the angry egalitarian who discusses this and that. Today, we're going to be doing part 8 of our series of Things Feminists Say. And remember, if you make everything a race issue when it's not, and a gender issue when it's not, it takes away from those who actually do have a legitimate case for racism and sexism. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. No one's in the chat, so I'll mention it when people do get in the chat. Okay, so Walmart accused of gender discrimination because of anti-gay insurance policies. Now, reading the title alone, that doesn't really make sense. So a little bit of background on this. Well, it's the suit was filed by Gay and Lesbian Advocate and Defenders, or GLAD, and the Washington Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights and Urban Affairs, that Walmart violated Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Like, you really need to put in quotes Title 8. And they state that they discriminated against the defendant because of her sex, because of her gender. Okay, so what is this? If it's because of her gender, what does this have to do with gay and lesbian advocates? But let's go on. Okay, so by way of our brief background, Coate and her wife, Smithson, entered into a state-recognized marriage in Massachusetts in 2004. From 2008 to 2012, Coate attempted to add Smithson to her health insurance during Walmart's open enrollment periods, which was a benefit available to other Walmart employees. By other, I'm sure they mean to heterosexual and single people. However, when Coate entered her spouse's gender as female, the online system would not let her continue. Notice they put female in quotes here. When I put female, would not let her continue the process, and when she further inquired with Walmart, she was told that the company did not offer health insurance coverage to same-sex spouses. Walmart's denial of benefit was very costly to Coate and her wife because in 2012, Smithson was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. The couple now has at least $150,000 in medical expenses, which arguably would have been covered if Coate were able to add her spouse to her health insurance. Okay, and that's very valid. And you might very well have a case, and you should go to the Supreme Court. But let us continue. Coate previously filed a complaint with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, a precondition to filing a discrimination lawsuit in federal court. In January, the EEOC held that Walmart violated gender discrimination laws by denying benefits to Smithson. No, they did not violate gender discrimination laws. No. But before I go into my angry tirade, and by the way, if you're watching, go ahead and leave a comment into the chat and I will try to answer it. So the United U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts alleges that employees who had violated same-sex marriage license, who had a valid same-sex marriage license, would have otherwise qualified for coverage, were discriminated against pursuant to the Title 8 solely because of their partner's gender. No, it had nothing to do with gender. This is not a gender discrimination case, and it's being touted as one. Did they violate based on LGBT rights? Possibly. It depends on what the state law is in Massachusetts. It also depends if Walmart was required to follow that, because I know some businesses tend to follow laws for what state or country they actually belong to. And that is, to me, that's legitimate. That's worthy to go to court for. If there's actually precedents that Walmart should have given health benefits to someone who was gay or a lesbian, then there you go. But this has nothing to do with gender. You're making it sound like this was only against lesbians and gays had the ability to do it. When a gay man puts on his insurance that his partner is male, which this doesn't say anywhere. So more than likely, Walmart violated any sort of precedents for LGBT rights, but not gender. This has nothing to do with gender. Just because she's a female, excuse me, just because the person affected was female does not mean it's sexism. Because I'm willing to bet that if a lesbian couple couldn't do it, then a gay couple couldn't do it. And the gay couple being men, that would negate that it is a gendered issue. The courts shouldn't have said that this was a gendered issue. And I know it was because the prosecutor, is it the prosecutor or the defendant? Well, whoever was suing, the lawyer made it a gender case. And everyone's afraid to go up against gender, because if they say, no, this wasn't a gender case, they're a fucking misogynist. The LGBT, you have, like, seriously started losing my respect. If you went at this as a completely anti-LGBT case, you would have 100% of my support. And in fact, I think that if Walmart should have done it, you should definitely pursue this to the highest court. And if they should have been covered, they should get all of their money, get all of their medical expenses paid for. I 100% agree with this. But you're only making it about gender just to add insult to injury. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. This has nothing to do with gender whatsoever, and you're just putting it in there as weaseling to get more money. You horrible people. Now, I know not everyone who's associated with the LGBT is doing this. I have friends who are part of the LGBT, but those high up in the ranks know they are doing something bad here by conflating this issue that is clearly an LGBT issue and saying that it is a gender discrimination. This has nothing to do with gender discrimination, and yet you're trying to push it because you know it'll get you money. So those who are behind this directly, I have no respect for you, because you're playing politics and you're trying to do everything you can to win your case. And if you could actually prove that this was just specifically against lesbians, then you need a report that it was specifically against lesbians. But more than likely, it was also against gay men, which is not a gendered issue, but it's kind of convenient that you're leaving that one detail out. So I still support the LGBT. I support that this case needs to go forward. And if Walmart has violated any law and has discriminated against the LGBT, then they need to pay for that. However, do not pursue this as a gendered issue. Stop listening to the social justice warriors in your circle and do the right thing. All right, let's move on. So I'm only going to do 2 articles for this one because the next 2 things I'm doing after this really require their own video. Feminist hero tells why she ran the London Marathon while menstruating freely. Let that sink in for a moment. Menstruating freely. Okay, so Kiran Gandhi is her name. Wondering how they oh, this is from her account. Never mind. Okay, so just like any other sporting endeavor women compete in, they often have to do so while menstruating. Yet, despite the additional strain that menstruating can cause female athletes, it is something women continue to be pressured to keep under wraps for the sake of others' comfort. I know by others' comfort they mean men, but there are women out there who are not really comfortable by the whole menstruating thing. And if I'm correct, that's probably her right there. And yeah, look at that. Is that something to be proud of? That you've got blood between your legs and you're running? That's like pissing your pants. Gandhi thought, though, her option, well, she basically was saying that she got her period last night and thought through her options and decided that would be best for her, as well as a positive act for women, would be to take some Midol, hope I wouldn't cramp, bleed freely, and just run. Really? You want to be all about how important your period is and how you should be able to bleed freely, and yet you still take some Midol? Yeah, you really got me there. That's exactly what Gandhi did. After making it to the finish line like a total champ, she's since written an essay about the whole experience, drawing attention to the plight of women around the world who don't have access to tampons and lack support because of the taboo around their periods. You make a last minute decision and decide to dedicate it to all the women in the world. Bullshit. I don't know. I just think it's a little too convenient. You know, what if you hadn't done it? Would you still have dedicated to all of those women? As I ran, I thought to myself how women and men have both been effectively socialized to pretend periods don't exist. Yeah, this now occurred to you. By establishing a norm on period shaming, male preferred societies effectively prevent the ability to bond over the experience that 50% of us in the human population share monthly. Have you ever considered that it's not just men who don't want you to do that, but it's also women? That women don't necessarily want to talk about that shit? And even if you wanted to, even if you wanted to bond about it, you still fucking can. Men don't really stop you from being able to say whatever the fuck you want. If that were true, then women never would have gotten abortion rights. Women would have never gotten the right to vote, would have never gotten half the crap that they have. And you're telling me that men still prevent you from doing it. Bullshit. You want to talk about it? You go and talk about it. Oh, look at what you're doing now. You're fucking talking about it. By making it difficult to speak about, we don't have language to express pain in the workplace. Really? You want to discuss your period in the workplace? And we don't acknowledge differences between men and women that must be recognized and established as acceptable norms. No, we know what the difference is between men and women. We don't need to talk about your time of the month to express the differences between men and women. She did mention one bad example. Someone came up behind me and made a disgusting face to tell me in a subdued voice that I was on my period. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. Notice that they didn't mention the person's gender. They said someone. I'll bet all the money I have, which is about $1, but to me that's like $100. I bet all the money I have that someone was a woman. Because if it was a man, you would have said some misogynist man came up to me and it's like, you're on your period. That's fucking disgusting. But no, you said someone, which is your passive way of saying it was actually a woman, but she was, indoctrinated in the patriarchy. We ran for women who can't show their periods in public. You want to fucking show your period in public? That's fucking disgusting. And for women who can't compete in athletic events, women can compete in athletic events. Do you mean they can't compete in athletic events while they are showing their periods in public? We ran for our friends who've suffered through period cramps at work. Really? At work? And for women who have survived breast cancer. What the fuck does breast cancer have to do with having a period? We ran in sisterhood side by side, and we crossed the finish line hand in hand. I'm sorry, but you're a fucking disgusting cunt. That's all you fucking are. Look at that. Right there. You're fucking proud of that? That's waste coming out of your body. It is fucking blood. And you want to be like free to spread it? I mean, one of the things that feminists kept saying to men when we talked about the whole free blooding was that, oh, well, that was just the thing that men made up about feminism. No feminist actually wants to do that. Here's your fucking proof. A woman saying that women should be allowed to go around and put their blood, their disgusting blood, anywhere they want. And you know what? You might be like, a clean person. You might not have any diseases or STDs or illnesses in your blood, but that doesn't mean that other women don't. And you want those kind of women to go around and sit in public places where other people might sit? And what if they leave a stain behind? Is it misogyny to complain about that? Anyone remember Greg Louganis in the Olympics? I believe it was Greg Louganis, who suffered a head injury while on the diving board and his head split open. I'm sorry if it's not Greg Louganis, but I think he had AIDS or something, and everyone was so freaked out by that. It's like, oh my God, if I get on that diving board, will I contract AIDS? That's why blood is such a serious fucking thing. And you can't just say, well, the world shames us for having blood come out of our vagina every 30 days and that we're being oppressed. No, you're not being fucking oppressed. No one wants to deal with that shit. I'd be like pissing my pants and walking around and telling everyone that they're just shaming me and it's part of the patriarchy that I can't walk around in public having pissed my pants. Hey, I know. How about I take off my pants and walk around with my cock hanging out? Would you still support that? Oh, I know. How about I shit in public? How about I go into the table right next to where you're sitting in a restaurant and take a huge dump and tell you, oh, well, if you don't like it, you're just shaming me. You're part of the patriarchal system. Because that's the exact equivalent. You want to talk to other women about it, go ahead. But don't try to force it on other people. Don't force other people to have to see it. That is fucking disgusting. Eddie Murphy, this article is about a woman who wants to free bleed during a marathon race. and says that she should be allowed to bleed from her vagina in public and not feel ashamed for it. Fucking disgusting. Anyways, there's no comments to either of these articles, so I'm going to go ahead and go from here. I'm going to be doing 2 more videos after this, so go ahead and stay tuned for that. Anyways, this is Mad Cat signing off.